The Chiefs have selected George Karlaftis. Big George! There we go!
I am so beyond excited that Josh Simmons getting a crack at left tackle.
It's really hard to win the AFC Championship.
Is it?
Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC. Our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. Ken Swanson here with Matty Lane on a Wednesday. The two-man game again this week. Hopefully we will have more of the gang together next. Well, no, we won't, because you're out next week, aren't you? I just realized that as well. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing Wednesday 2 weeks from now. So we're going to continue to just roll through things here. But I'm pumped to be here with Maddie. How you doing?
Listen, this podcast is just like the Chiefs practices these days. It's just you never know who's able to show up for work. We don't know what's going on. I'm good. The Chiefs didn't sign Stefon Diggs. I feel like I came in pretty hot at the end of Monday's lab in favor of that. Didn't happen. I guess screw me. That wasn't meant to be. We're a little sad about that, honestly. And instead you know what? We don't need to dive in on the Chiefs wide receiver room again. Here we are, Kent. I'm happy to be here recording the show with you.
We might be diving into the Chiefs wide receiver room a little bit. Actually,
it's a shallow room. You better not dive.
Yeah. You can't go head first. You certainly can't do that. Maybe a light cannonball or so, but before we get too far into this show, like 2 weeks from now, I said I'm gonna be missing. I think I might be missing some time, but also the Monday, August 17th, is the KCSN Foundation Golf Tournament. So there's still some spots available for that. It's the Tacos and Bourbon 5th Annual Tournament at Creekmore Golf Course. That is Monday, August 17th. So I'll be hanging out there. And then I'll be doing the show most likely that night. It's going to be a good time. But Tacos for Life is going to be out there along with our friends at Holiday Distillery. They'll have some tents out there as well. It is going to be a tremendous time. I am so very much looking forward to seeing you all out there and hanging out with my friends and enjoying some time out there. It's for a good cause. It's for the KCSN Foundation, all the things that we are trying to do. So teams, I believe, are up to, it's now $700 a team now. I think the early registration is over. It's for $700 for a group of four. So if you go to givebutter.com/KCSN Golf, you can go there. You can sign up. The link is in the description of this show. Like a week and a half away. Cannot wait. One of my favorite days of the year. Very much looking forward to that. So we'll get into some of the news here. We'll talk some training camp in a little bit, and we will continue our top 10 rankings with the tight end position later in the show. But the news of the day: Stefon Diggs is officially off the table for the Kansas City Chiefs. We can debate whether or not he ever actually was on the table, but he signs with the Washington Commanders on a 1-year deal worth up to $12 million. Maddie, I'm sorry, RIP the dream. The dream is dead for him. The dream is dead for Jadeveon Clowney. A couple players that you were looking at off the board here for improving the 2026 version of the Chiefs.
Because you can't win them all, or you can't win any of those. Listen, the Chiefs didn't have the cap space to sign Stefon Diggs at the deal that he ended up getting from the Washington Commanders. Could they have made the space? Yes, but they didn't actively have it now. I know that Adam Schefter has come out and said, hey, the Chiefs did talk to Stefon Diggs. I mean, sure they did.
They've always talked to him, always after.
Sure, they talked to him. I don't really want to spend too much time on them not signing Diggs, because here's the end of the day. If the Chiefs opt not to sign somebody, that's the decision they made. And whether I agree or not, it's kind of like a moot point to talk about from that point on, right? There's no real reason to belabor not signing Stefon Diggs. I think the bigger thing here, though, is this just like with Clowney and then now Diggs coming off the board, it feels like the Chiefs are just like fully showing their hand. We're just going to run with what we got. we think what we have is plenty good enough. We have an undrafted free agent guy competing / leading the competition for right tackle. We're not going to add an offensive lineman. Our defensive end too is hurt with a hamstring injury. We're not going to bring in a defensive end. Our entire wide receiver room is, just ravaged with injuries. We're not going to bring in a wide receiver. I think they're just kind of telling everybody they think they are good with what they have. And they think their new coaching staff additions paired with, I guess, turning over some of the offensive scheme or changing it or getting a little bit better at executing it is going to be enough. That is going to be the solution. They think they did enough to this roster to be good enough. We'll see. But I think that's the message they are very much smacking us as fans in the face with at this point in time.
I think when a lot of people, not just us, but we've all talked about and I think just even without platforms, we're all having the same conversations, right? Well, man, wide receiver. We could use a wide receiver. Linebacker, edge rusher, cornerback, safety. Every position on the roster, blocking tight end. We're not as accustomed to seeing this roster with the, perceived holes, perceived unknowns that this team has. This is the most, I think, unknowns that the team has had, and potential weaknesses that I think that they've had in the Mahomes era. And that's, I think, a hard thing for all of us to kind of grapple with because we're so used to what this team has looked like in the past. I think there's two sides of it though, right? Because I do see yes, we know that hey, these are the perceived issues, but on the flip side of things, there are young players in all of those rooms that the Chiefs seem content with giving an opportunity to go out and take a step and go out and earn opportunities and go out and probably make some mistakes. And in some cases, probably fall flat on their face. The chances that all of these young players that are sitting on the roster today are going to pan out is probably not particularly high. There are rooms that have better lottery tickets. That's not even a fair description. There are teams that have better odds, or players that have better odds. There are position groups that have better odds of finding a young player than others do. But there are probably going to be a few holes on this roster that we're all sitting here pointing at August 5th and saying, man, those are probably some issues. I think the flip side is, though, I do think that there are probably going to be some players that pan out too. And that'll be a lot of fun to see, and that will help the health of the roster in 2027. But it does feel like this team is very much content on giving a lot of runway to a lot of players to figure some stuff out so they can be better established for the future. And I don't want to say, I'm not saying that it feels like this is it's not, I'm not going to go as far to say this is a year they're punting on. But I definitely think they are trying to give young players a chance to figure some things out here on this roster.
I don't know. Maybe I feel like for me, this team's not in a spot to do that. They have Patrick Mahomes and they have one of the oldest coaches in the NFL. Andy Reid, if the next time he makes a Super Bowl, will be the oldest coach to ever make a Super Bowl. Right. That includes your greatest head coach in your lifetime. Whoever that is has not made a Super Bowl at the age that Andy Reid currently is, or older than Andy Reid will be by the time the next Super Bowl's played. They don't have time to waste. And I get it. Everybody's got to be the first to do something. Nobody would have, said Bruce Arians was going to be the oldest Super Bowl or coach to ever win a Super Bowl. And he went and did it. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like they are very much up against the clock. It's not like the Chiefs have some supernova head coach in waiting ready to take over for Andy Reid, right, and you're trying to prepare this roster and this team for the successor to Andy Reid. They have an aging head coach who seems to really be struggling to get his mind around where modern football is going. They have an older defensive coordinator. It doesn't mesh. And so I think for me, it reads more like not, we're going to let young guys make mistakes and just let them figure it out so we're better in 2027 and 2028. It looks more like we think we're smarter. We think we got this figured out. We think we know. And hey, they've won a lot of Super Bowls, so maybe they do. It's just it reads to me more like they think they have it figured out more so than them trying to play for 3 years from now when Andy Reid's pushing 70.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that this is a future state, but it definitely does feel like they are maybe towing a line here. And I think in other years they might have been more. They might have tried to sign Jadeveon Clowney. In other years, I don't think they can look at their roster right now with George Karlaftis, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and Ashton Gillotte and R. Mason Thomas and be like, that's good enough, especially with Ashton Gillotte hurt. I just have a hard time believing that they think that group is good enough. Now the D tackle group might offset it a little bit, but
yeah.
Well,
and before we stray too far, I saw some comments from last week, and then I saw this from Jackie, like talking about Brett Veach when we're talking about roster construction. And I know we had talked a little bit about the wide receiver room and where they fell short last year. And there was some comments on the YouTube video like, hey, you guys didn't talk about Brett Veach and his role in that. So real quick, I definitely think Brett Veach deserves some blame in how the roster is constructed. I think Brett Veach still answers to Andy Reid. They're never going to tell you that. I think Brett Veach does not have the freedom to do whatever Brett Veach wants. I still think it's an Andy Reid seal of approval situation. So for me, it is always going to come back to Andy Reid. It's always going to be that. And this also goes into the fact, they don't have an up-and-coming successor head coach. They also don't have like a GM that you're like, this guy's ready to take over the team and be the next, power player in Kansas City, where it's no longer the head coach, it's now the GM. I don't think that's like what Brett Veach has been showing so far either. So it's just the future outlook of this team looks a lot more like they're playing for the right now when you look at the roster, some parts of the roster, the coaching staff, the front office. But then as we're talking about, as you look at how they are deploying players this year and relying on young players and rookies and unproven guys and guys to make all these steps at these very obvious positions that weren't very good last year, it also looks like they kind of have one foot in the, here's the future camp, but then they have the other foot in the we have to win now camp. And that usually doesn't work too well.
I think that is the case. And I think they're continuing to try to thread that needle. I think that's been something that they've done, and they've done well in the past, right? Like there is always an eye on the present, an eye on the future. Like they've kind of done that historically for the most part. I think some things have fallen apart, and the last few drafts have not been great to this point. I wouldn't describe the last few drafts as being great to this point. And that can kind of start that can start hurting some things. Missing on Felix. And hopefully he has a great final year in Kansas City, but missing on him a little bit. There are some mistakes along the way. Whether or not you want to put that at the feet of Andy, whether or not you want to put that at the feet of Brett. There's been some faltering, and there's been some less than stellar classes. The thing that, and I think with this team and some of the irrational belief in this organization and this team, because we've just seen them do so many things so many times over this incredible ride, winning 3 Super Bowls, going to 5, and just expecting them to just continue this success. But I think there is, in some ways, not entirely, but there are some ways you can point to a successful season with the youth movement in 2022, where the youth movement happened, the investment in the draft picks and moving on from a star happened, and it's not a complete parallel, but the team is relying on young draft picks to go out and in some cases exceed their draft slot and go win football games, and they did in 2022. That entire secondary being rookies that played well above their draft slot. Right now, there's some players that kind of seem like they might be playing a little bit above their draft slot. We'll get into those, I think, in a couple minutes here too. But and it's early, but it does feel like if there is some hey, we know what we're doing, it's probably because they did win a Super Bowl on the back of a rookie class just absolutely dominating. And that's kind of what springboarded an entire era of Chiefs football where they could make mistakes in the draft and still sustain success. Because part of the reason that 2022 draft carried a lot of water for some missed draft picks in the past. And this 2026 class might be in the same boat if we're not careful. But I don't know. I do think they are trying to thread a needle they feel like they probably have in the past.
Sure. In the past, they had prime Travis Kelce, and it was 3 years ago. And so, like I said, when we were talking about, There's nothing to say Andy Reid can't win a Super Bowl, but I mean, it's just history says that no coach has made it to a Super Bowl at the age he's about to be now. So he's a little bit older. The football has changed since then. They had prime Travis Kelce. They had just come off of kind of rebuilding or in the process of rebuilding an offensive line. And you could argue they are doing that now. So there are some certain similarities. Like I definitely see the similarities there. It's just, I do think prime Kelce and prime Chris Jones do a lot more lifting for that team than what they currently have. And I'm trying to find the NFL in 2021 was entirely trying to stop the Chiefs. Now the NFL has shifted away to they are playing a different game or a style than the Chiefs are playing. And so the Chiefs aren't at the forefront. The Chiefs aren't changing. Like the Chiefs in 2022 were a different kind of offense than they were in 2021. And that led to a lot of the success, right? Like they quit pushing the ball downfield. It became entirely stretching everything horizontal and taking advantage of teams afraid to get beat deep. I just haven't seen anything to say they're going to make that change now. That's not to say they can't, though, right? Like, that's not to say they can't. So there's certainly some similarities to what they were able to do in 2022 and what they're able to do now. I just think you're a couple years later and trying it again is an interesting tactic.
A lot of curiosity for the rest of August for me. I'm just very curious, fascinated to see what this thing is going to shape up to, because I do think there are going to be some young players that hit. I do think there are going to be, you know, some players that exceed expectations. It's going to be fun to see, and like we're all going to be geeking out about the future of some of these players. And then there's going to be some glaring obvious needs that may or may not keep them from achieving their goals. And I think that's where the genuine curiosity exists in tandem with all of the conversation. You're right about the coaching staff. Is it the children who are wrong? Is it Andy Reid becoming antiquated? You know, what is it? What is actually going to prevail when it comes to the 18 weeks of the regular season and beyond? And I'm not it's not an experiment, but it does spark curiosity the same way that 2022 did. There's some sparks of curiosity the same way that 22 was for me. So I'm excited to see what it looks like. You know, we're going to start getting answers in a week and a half because, you know, games are going to be starting soon, and we're going to start getting eyes on some of these young players and what it looks like when they play in a game. But there's also some buzz starting to hit in training camp. Albert Breer was out there, had some interesting quotes. I want to talk about that, some of the other things that we've seen from training camp over the last couple days, right after this.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
You know that moment, the one when you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at a gas station 3 states away. I've been there too. I've lost plenty of sunglasses. I've broken plenty of sunglasses. I do it all the time. And I found Shady Rays and changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. They're seriously good looking. They're polarized. They're durable, and they're not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose or you break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear. On hikes, concerts, on the boat, on the golf course, wherever. They have sunglasses for golfing, fishing, hiking, and biking, even sunglasses for kids. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. And you can go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN50 for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. So go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN50 for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. I think there's been a few things that have kind of happened since the Chiefs, since we last talked about this team at training camp. I wanted to ask you off the rip because, I think there are moments that we get accused of being too negative from time to time. I can see it, but you're so muted, Maddie. You couldn't even be more muted.
Yeah, I try to mute when you're doing ad reads so my loud mechanical keyboard doesn't come through. I did want to say I love that we get accused of being too negative at times. You know what? Fair. You do you, but that's fair. I love how we opened the show with 18 straight minutes of us being negative before talking about camp after getting told that we were being too negative.
Yeah,
Love you guys.
I think it's just, I don't know if it was even pure negativity the first half. It's just kind of analysis. It's kind of like analyzing like what the plan is. And I think there's fun, exciting pieces of that plan if it works out. And it does seem like some things are working out. And I got a few quotes from Albert Breer because he did visit the Chiefs. I think there were some very interesting things that came out of it. But there was one comment that I think kind of sits on the positive side of things, Maddie, that you quote tweeted. A play from training camp today. Looked like some under center drop back work today, camp. And, I think we've all wanted to see what the 2026 offense was going to do versus what 2025 looked like. We've all kind of said, hey, like, is the old dog going to change his tune? Are things going to look a little bit different? Are they going to try to adapt? A few early camp indicators seem like there probably are a few wrinkles that are getting introduced into the offense this year. A little bit more under center drop back potentially.
Okay. How do I say this? I was trying to be all positive for this camp segment, and I would be so positive about the play you talked about, but I do think it's funny that you said new tricks when the play that we saw from under center that was a drop back pass game is an old staple of Andy Reid's offense also for the Chiefs. I mean, it's not bad. It's good that they ran it. I think Nate Tice actually had tweeted out too that since 2019, the Chiefs have run, roughly a dozen true drop back passes from under center. Since 2019, they've ran about 12 drop back passes. And his estimation, about half of them, I think he showed 5 clips of them, were all the same concept, this kind of drive concept, usually in the red zone. And it's that same play that we saw from camp today where they're catching essentially the tight end on the seam. And I think Mitch Schwartz also talked about how that was a play they ran against the Indianapolis Colts when Nick Foles actually threw a touchdown off of it. So this is a play that has long been in Andy Reid's playbook. The Chiefs just haven't used it. I went back and looked on NFL Pro last year in 2025. The Chiefs ran 0 true drop back passes from under center. Every time they got under center, it was a run or a play action pass. There was a couple ambiguous plays where it wasn't a true play fake, but Mahomes still turned his back to the defense and kind of rolled out. And then it became a rollout off of a not true play fake, but it still essentially was play action. They didn't run any just drop back. I stay up. Here's a 3 or 5 step drop straight back in the pocket and throw the football. They ran 0 last year. To see some of those start to pop up in training camp is a very nice thing to see. This is what I'd been waiting for. I'd been searching through all the under center clips. The runs are awesome. The play action plays are awesome, but I have been waiting for them to just show some traditional pass game from under center because we've seen Andy Reid for years. If he can't marry his run game to his pass game, to his play action game, to his screen game, that's not going to happen. That formation's not going to work. That alignment's not going to be part of it. Everything has to be able to look the same and come from the same formation. So if they don't have some under center pass game elements, if they can't just go under center, drop back and throw a slant, throw a hook, run, some kind of dagger concept, they're just not going to be under center as much as we all want them to be. Maybe a little bit more, but not a ton, because then that means they don't have a traditional passing game from under center. The more we see them get under center and have a traditional drop back passing game, I think that means the higher likelihood that you are going to see more under center during the season. And that goes up, whether it's the run game, the play action game, whatever it is, just the more plays like that we see, the better. So I was excited to see that. I just think it was funny that it was the one play that they have run over the past half decade from under center.
I'm not beat up about that piece of it just because when it's early install, right? And so just the fact that they're repping some true under center pass stuff is I think is the refreshing piece of all of this. And you talked a little bit about something. They all have to work together. They all have to be married together. There is logical progressions you build off of one play, and that's why play action can be effective. That is why, some tendency breaking with some true drop back game can kind of be effective. And the concepts themselves, even old concepts, can be effective. If you are mixing up formation, you're mixing up your understanding, you're mixing up your gun and all that kind of stuff. So I do think just continue going down that path and building these logical progressions with the intent of leveraging under center, I think is the hope. That's the hope I think we're all kind of looking at here a little bit. And I think that was a positive sign. I saw some quotes from out.
So I just want to say, if you want to get more excited about that too, go back to Philadelphia, go to early Chiefs. Now they started using the pistol and stuff because they had Alex Smith and they wanted to use the QB run game, but go to the early Chiefs with Andy Reid or go back to the Eagles. That was a lot of under center. The famous 4th and 26 from the Philadelphia Eagles, the Donovan McNabb completion on 4th and 26. That was an under center, just 7-step drop back. On 4th and 26, that was an under center play call, right? Like people probably don't remember this. If you played like Madden back in the day, they had the playbooks. Now this isn't 100% accuracy, but if you pick the Eagles in the 2000s and had Andy Reid's playbook, you didn't get shotgun formation. Like it didn't exist until like late into the 2000s. It was all under center stuff. So it's not as if Andy Reid doesn't have that stuff in the playbook. And I don't mean to imply that. It's just they have not used that at all recently. So it will be nice to see it start to cycle back in. We obviously know it's rattling around in Andy's brain somewhere. Why hasn't it been incorporated hardly at all since 2019? Interesting who the quarterback was. And then why was it even dwindling a little bit before that? Why are they only really using one or two concepts throughout it? Though, like, these are questions I think that you do have to have in the back of your mind if you want them to do more under center work.
Albert Breer visited Chiefs camp. He's running around visiting all these camps, and he always dumps the notebook after he kind of has conversations with the coaching staff, with the players, with the personnel, side of things for the organization. And there's always some things that are of interest, I think, to Chiefs fans when they come out. So I pulled a few things that I thought were quite interesting from his visit to camp. And we will start with this. Justin Deppengaser says, genuinely surprised you didn't start with Albert Breer's quote on Cyrus Allen being a big part of the offensive game plan. So here's the quote. Rookie Cyrus Allen, a 5th rounder out of Cincinnati, might be the best receiver in camp before bruising his shin. He's expected back soon. The Chiefs see some similarities to Stefon Diggs in physical profile and play style in Allen, and he's very much part of the Chiefs' offensive plan. Y'all were wanting the Chiefs to sign Stefon Diggs, and they found Stefon Diggs in the 5th round again. I think Stefon Diggs was a 5th round pick. I'm 95%.
He was.
Sure. He was a 5th round pick. I don't know if it was a 5th round pick on talent though. I think the league knew he was a little bit more talented than a 5th round pick coming in. Anyways, the Chiefs signed young Stefon Diggs already, y'all. It's okay. But look, the big money line here is he's very much part of the offensive plan. So the trend for Cyrus Allen is not he's catching fade balls like Justin Ross in the corner against, from Chad Henne. It's no. We're putting him in the plan. He's part of this plan. He's part of this offensive plan. Cyrus Allen is very much, I think, legitimately in play by all indications coming out of Albert Breer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, nothing we've heard from anybody has slowed down the hype train for Cyrus Allen. I think Andy kind of tried to pump the brakes a little bit on some of those opening pressers, but it was in the positive Andy way of like, hey, he's a rookie. He was saying the same stuff about him that he did kind of like Josh Simmons. Like, hey, he's a rookie. He's still got to keep working. He's got things he's got to do better, but he also has the trust of these guys. He's also looked good. And then Andy also did, I think it was with Steve Smith and somebody else, or I think for NFL Network, he did like a after practice interview and they had just asked him open-ended, what wide receivers have stood out to you? And his very first answer, not directed towards Cyrus Allen at all, just open-ended, who as a pass catcher caught your eye. Andy immediately opened up with like, I wish you guys were here when our young guy, and he didn't say his name, but when our young guy wasn't hurt, he was missed these past couple days. He was looking really good. And so unprompted, you get an Andy Reid calling out Cyrus Allen, Albert Breer talking to people, has good things to say about Cyrus Allen. Like, it just feels like everything's building the right way. And this is like no offense. This is no shade. This isn't just a, Louis Riddick tweet about this is the guy to watch at Chiefs camp. Like, I know we get those every year and we like it when it's a player that we enjoy to watch or that we thought was going to be good coming in. But this isn't one tweet from one person. This is everybody that goes to camp. This is everybody that's been involved. This is Andy Reid that's essentially like, nah, he's been pretty good. And so I think you have to feel really good about Cyrus Allen. I think the Chiefs are about to embark on 3 days of no pads. So one, if you were planning on going out to St. Joe, if you go on Friday or Saturday, you were going to be charged money, I think, to not see pads. Heads up. But also, I wonder if Cyrus Allen comes back during the non-padded practice here. I wonder if Xavier Worthy does, because Andy said him and Worthy should be back this week. I wonder if they were waiting until the full pads came off to let those guys get back out there. But hey, Cyrus Allen bandwagon just keeps growing.
Keeps growing, and like I said, there's a lot of runway for him. There is a ton of opportunity.
Yeah,
he's firmly ahead of Jalen Royals right now in my book. I think he is firmly supplanted himself as wide receiver 4. I think he's very much locked in here.
4.
You think he's climbing up beyond 4 in 2026, Maddie?
I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, just like I'm looking at the room, and I think you have 2 unreliable players as of now at wide receiver 1 and 2, and one of them is maybe unreliable because we haven't seen Xavier Worthy take that final step. He was injured last year, so you don't know what that looks like. The other one in Rashee Rice has had just a very wonky off-field situation. He's also coming off of an injury. It's like you can't. Either one of those guys might not be the most reliable for a full season. And then there's Tyquan Thornton, who I think is a good player. I think Tyquan Thornton certainly serves a purpose. I just wonder if his purpose isn't a little bit more limited than everybody else's. And so, yeah, I wonder if you don't get to the end of the year and come away thinking, ooh, Cyrus Allen is a little bit more wide receiver 3 than wide receiver 4.
All right. I'd sidebar then. Who has a better statistical season, Cyrus Allen or Tyquan Thornton, Matthew?
What did Tyquan do last year? It was like 350 yards and a couple touchdowns.
Yes. So let's look it up. Let's look that stat up.
Give me Cyrus Allen.
You're going Cyrus. All right. Yeah. It was 19 and 438 and 3 touchdowns.
438's a lot, 3 touchdowns, but it was all long balls. Yeah, you know what? Just give me Cyrus. I'm gonna ride the wave. I just think that everybody having good things to say. I'm gonna ride the wave for now. I will say, like, an injury right before pads come on, not getting any padded practices before I make this prediction's kind of bold. But again, hearing Andy speak up about Cyrus Allen unprompted, hearing Breer come out and say, oh, they really like these guys. Breer saying somebody in the building made some kind of Stefon Diggs-like comparison. Like, the Chiefs don't do that with their young players very often.
It's so great.
I see the comparison, how they get there. It's a bold one. It's a little bit, it's a little long shot, but hey, I'm here for it. So yeah, give me Cyrus Allen.
I need him to be good. That'd be so fun. Just getting a day 3 wide receiver and him just being the thing would be just a cherry on top for this draft. Because I think there's also some other signs about this draft we'll get to. Breer says Emmett Johnson is swiftly earning a role. So I haven't seen a ton of buzz around Emmett Johnson. I hadn't seen a ton at all around him, but it sounds like he's impressing though. Like, I think swiftly earning a role would tell you that Emmett Johnson is at least doing some things in the building that are appealing to this team. I haven't got to see a ton of clips from Emmett Johnson to this point. I haven't seen a ton of him and flashing by any stretch of the word, but again, it is always a good thing to see young players getting call outs and getting some intel that there's some buzz around them.
Okay, listen, T. Smith, I've been calling Cyrus the virus. We've been done using the virus emoji when we talk about him places. We can absolutely ride with Cyrus the virus because he's making all the DBs sick as they play for him.
Pause. That's what that was?
Yeah.
You've been using it I missed this entirely.
You're so old, man. You're just so old.
I didn't know what that emoji was in the group chat. I had no clue. And I just figured it out. Thank you, T. Smith.
Yeah, I know you're new to the iPhone. If you just type in virus, that emoji pops up for you.
No clue.
And so Cyrus the virus.
I found out today. I found out like this week I was using the heart emoji incorrectly. I had no clue. There's two hearts that I could use on there, and there's one that's pink, there's one that's red, and the pink one's like Apple specific or something like that. And I was using the red one, and I had no clue. I had zero clue that there was a distinction that like was the thing, like that the Apple didn't accept it the same way or something like that. But I am old is the answer. The answer is I am old. You're right.
We got there. Okay, so Emmett Johnson, he is one that I am a little bit more. I was really trying to be all positive, and you said this. He's one that I want to see it, right? I just want to see it a little bit more because I've been looking through the clips, and I'm not saying Emmett Johnson hasn't been out there. I just feel like I've seen more clips with DeMarcado replacing Kenneth Walker with the first team. I've seen, we got DeMarcado up on the podium today. Coaches were asked about him, and he got some nice praise from Andy saying he does a really good job seeing it and hitting it right then and there. So I had felt like at this point in camp, I just think I was coming away thinking Amari DeMarcado had been a little bit more impressive from what I have seen not being there than Emmett Johnson. It's awesome if Emmett Johnson continued on what was a really good, I think, mini camp and rookie camp, if I remember right from that, and continues to impress and be part of the run. The Chiefs running back room is clearly way more talented than it was last year.
Brashard Smith's having a good camp by some indications too. So
everyone's having a good camp.
Good camp. Good.
Noah Gray had a day.
Noah Gray had a day supposedly. Some Peter Woods conversation that I think is just like continue to validate a little bit of the conversations around him and his draft profile. From Breer, Woods took one for the team last year at Clemson, playing nose in his final college season, and has shown real potential as an athletic 3 technique going against a really solid set of Chiefs tiered offensive linemen, and then also commentary around playing more to the weight that he was playing in 2024. I think just some more validation on like, hey, look, he didn't get to kind of play the way he wanted to stylistically in 2025. He wasn't as weaponized. The version of him that was a top 5 selection in the draft heading into 2026 draft season, not throwing that hype on him quite yet. But man, like it does just validate some of the conversation in the context of the Peter Woods fall from 2026 that the Chiefs might just be the beneficiaries of.
Yeah, so I want to go back to this again too. You talked about people said we were really negative on Monday. I feel like there was a lot of good talk about Cyrus Allen, Peter Woods, Josh Simmons. You like the corners, I like the safeties. I really didn't feel like we were that negative on Monday, and here we are continuing. Peter Woods, outstanding so far. They have to quit letting him do one-on-ones against Mike Caliendo and Hunter Norzad. It's not helping anybody. And like, I don't mean that as like a negative. It's just like, it's not helping anybody, right? Like that's not working very well. And so we need to get more of the Trey Smith reps, more of the Kingsley Sue-Matias reps where he had a good one against Peter Woods. And then, like Woods has got him a few times. Just, I don't need to see him against second string offensive linemen anymore when they do one-on-ones. I understand if he's got to run with the second team defense occasionally or whatever, but the one-on-ones, like I just don't need to see that anymore. Let me continue to be hyped out of control about Peter Woods going up against the starters because I've seen him against Trey Smith. I've seen him beat Trey Smith. I've seen him lose, but it was competitive. Like I've seen him make plays in the ring. I saw him completely smoke Creed Humphrey, which happens very rarely, and make contact in the backfield on a run play. So Peter Woods has done nothing but impress. And I do think the context of, this defense is a little bit different this year. They asked him to play nose. And then while playing nose, they also wanted him to slant and loop and stunt every other play. And that really impacted what he was able to do. He added some weight that maybe wasn't the best weight for him. So now he's back at a spot that's where he should be playing. It all makes sense. And it just comes back to guys his size don't move the way he does and suck in the NFL. Doesn't mean he's going to be great, but they don't suck. This is a guy that's always going to move better than the interior offensive lineman across from him, and that eventually matters.
There's so many players that I think I do feel like there is some palpable buzz and excitement around in this rookie class. And if the Chiefs are betting on Young,
can I ask you one question about training camp?
Uh-huh.
I want you to tell me one non-rookie that you think is having a good camp that you're excited about. And you can't say Patrick Mahomes.
Give
me a non-rookie.
Josh Simmons. Okay.
Even though he got walked back yet again on a bull rush. Okay. I'm with you.
Josh Simmons is having a good camp. And then, like, I think there's a lot of players that, like, it's expected. I know Drew's getting a lot of buzz. I've heard Drew getting some buzz from what I've heard. Noel. There's some good players, you know.
Okay.
Shamari playing from depth. Shamari from depth, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
I
just want to ask. I just want to see who was impressing you that was a veteran. That's all.
Yeah, there's plenty. Couple more notes. Khalil Benson, this is from Breer's article. Khalil Benson has shown real potential to the point where it wouldn't be a shock to anyone if he were to wrestle the job from Jalen Moore. See, that's what that quote kind of interested me a little bit, because like we're full on in the Khalil Benson is getting all these reps with the ones right now kind of thing, but it doesn't really read the way Breer talked about it, like Benson's some overwhelming favorite or anything like that. It definitely feels like this is still very much a competition in the eyes of the staff, but they're just trying to see if this young guy can go out there and do his thing, and if he can take big enough strides and keep stacking good days, that they're going to keep letting him out there with the ones. I'm just I didn't get this this indication that Khalil Benson is the clear cut right tackle for this team or anything like that, even though the reps are kind of starting to indicate and seem like it's a little bit more like that.
Full on wait and see for me. I'm gonna always have some reservations about undrafted free agent, and that doesn't mean that they're a bad player just because they went undrafted. I just think when you don't have off-field issues or injury concerns and you had been on multiple teams and just like never wrapped it together and nobody was really out there banging the table for you, I'm going to have some reservations. And so I just want to see it. We'll see once we get into games what it looks like. Watching him, I think there are some times where he kind of looks a little clunky to be moving. And now all of a sudden you have these 4 super athletes across this offensive line, and then you're kind of saddling with a almost Orlando Brown Jr. type mover on the back end, on the other side of like on one of the bookends. And that just kind of limits a little bit of what you can do. So I'm curious how it plays out. I'm going to go into this one with an open mind, but even Breer's verbiage there wasn't near as high as it was for Cyrus Allen. It was still a little bit more like, maybe he wins the job, but I don't know how high of a bar that is either.
It's kind of like no one will be surprised, but also it's not like it's this. I think it's kind of how we framed it on Monday. Right? Like, I don't know if it's like, oh, he's turning heads to the point that, like, it's a slam dunk. There still might be some concerns over on the right side, but it might be a rookie over there instead of Jalen Moore. And so, like, he's one of the players that I think we're all going to be paying a lot of attention to in the first preseason.
Yeah, pencil him in the player to watch for 2 Saturdays from now.
Yeah. Mine's going to be Tyquan Thornton, but
Must be a killer 4 snaps.
I think I just picked Tyquan like 10 times last year. Last little nugget from Albert Breer I thought was interesting.
Some tight ends, man.
There's a lot of conversation in this article. Go read the full thing about the cornerback room. But the one it felt almost throwaway-ish. But it's 6 words. L'Jarius Sneed's return should help inside. So I don't know if we've seen L'Jarius Sneed play from the slot to this point at all in camp. But perhaps there is some long-term intentions of kicking L'Jarius Sneed inside into the slot, like I believe you brought up right when the signing happened. Maybe this really is like a 4-man competition that we just eventually L'Jarius is going to kick inside and make this thing even a little bit more murky. But I just found that comment very, very interesting because I don't know how much slot he was really playing in Tennessee. So just him, I think Albert Breer just throwing that line in there was quite interesting to me.
Yeah, same thing. I guess I want to see it. I just want to see what it looks like. He hasn't really got to play. I don't think he's come on for full on team stuff yet. He's just done like individual drills. Yeah, and so we'll see once he gets out there where they have him slotting up. It seems like Chris Rowland-Wallace has done pretty well out of the slot. I haven't seen a lot of hype or negatives about Kader Kohu, so I don't know how he's doing, or Jaden Kennedy. It's kind of been a little under the radar for the other slot corners. All I know is I have seen very minimal Chamari Connor in the slot, so that's a win for everybody. And yeah, we'll just see where Snead factors in. I don't have a huge interest in seeing him play outside though.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see if the team does intend to kick him inside. But there are some notes I think from Beer's notebook that I thought were super interesting. Those were some of the more interesting nuggets that I thought came out of that article. But there's tons of other great ones in there. So go check out the article over on SI. He does great stuff as always, but I think that's one player, or that's one writer that I'm always kind of like the national perspective, trying to get some eyes on that and see what and ears in St. Joe, and kind of seeing what they're having to say about the things that we're all seeing and the validity to all of those things. I think that's kind of where we're at, and I think there seems to be some positive things in this camp, which I think is pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. So. Before we move on or get out of here, let's do the tight end rankings. We're gonna do the top 10 tight ends in 2026 as ranked by the KC Laboratory. We're not gonna do the consensus rankings today because Craig is not here, but we are gonna reveal our own top 10s and kind of talk through those. I don't think there was a clear-cut 10.
Okay.
I felt like there was like 8, and then I was like, yeah, I think, I don't know, beyond 8,
Okay.
like I felt pretty like, Okay. Yeah, and it's a weird group. There's no, it's a weird group.
It doesn't feel as strong as it once was before. It feels a little bit weaker to me. Maybe deeper, but weaker.
I think it feels evolving and young. I think there's a youth wave. I think there's a youth movement kind of existing at the tight end position. However, if you're someone like the best tight ends in football, not very many of them are elite blockers. There's that. I think it's just weird. Assuming the entire world is turning back to blocking, like more running the ball, but your best tight ends, none of them are particularly good blockers. Mm-hmm. It is an interesting youth movement. We have, like, in the past 3 years, even really like 5 years, I guess, if you want to go back to like Kyle Pitts' rookie year, we've had more success for rookie tight ends being able to step in and matter. Whereas before, it used to be a 2, 3, 4 year long thing as they got up to speed in the NFL. So it is interesting how everything is shifted. And I'm with you. There's some young guys in this one compared to a lot of other position groups. How many tiers do you have? I think I got 5.
I have 5, but it's spiritually 4. I just had to separate the bottom 2.
Okay. I'll kick things off.
Okay.
I'll start things off here a little bit. Because like I think after the first couple.
Oh, A-B.
Yeah, I did. The 2025 surprises, and I had a hard time. Like, I wanted to acknowledge both of these guys, but Oronde Gadsden and Harold Fannin Jr., two players that weren't coming in with like high pedigree first round draft status or second round draft status by that stretch, both had outstanding years as rookies. Neither of them are going to be true dynamic blockers or anything like that. This continues that list of these are more pass catchers, but I think both of those players the arrows pointing up. And again, like we talked about, like, hey, how hard it is to be a tight end as a rookie and produce, and both of them did. And so I it's kind of like, oh, is it just an anomaly that it was like super easy, or was this class pretty good? And I think we should probably hey, historically, young tight ends don't have this kind of success. Arrows pointing up for them. And at the bottom of this list, I think both of these guys deserve some acknowledgement. I'd take Fannin over Gadsden if you were asking me today, but I figured I'd at least throw Gadsden in there because they're both kind of sitting there on that fringe right there as well. So yeah, that's my first tier.
Did you rank 11 guys?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Okay. I didn't have either one of those guys. Fannin was close to on the outskirts. Didn't consider Gadsden at all. But okay, neither one of those guys made my list. So my first tier is, you can catch. Cool. Tyler Warren at 10, Kyle Pitts at 9, and Sam Laporta at 8.
Uh-huh.
I think they're all good receivers. They're good receivers. I don't think you want any of them to block at all. Tyler Warren's entire blocking is like as an H-back and just running full speed into somebody. He's okay at, but he's just not a good blocker. Kyle Pitts has tried more as his career's gone on, but again, not good. Sam Laporta, they try to not have block at all, but they're all very good receivers. They win in different ways. Warren ends up at the bottom of this group for me because his ADOT is like 2 yards. He just doesn't run vertically. And whereas like Pitts and Laporta, I do think stretch the field a little bit more. So like Tyler Warren's just not my kind of tight end. If you're going to be a big kind of like lumbering after catch guy, I would like you to be a little bit better blocker. And if not, I want you to stretch the field a little bit. So I'm probably a little lower on Tyler Warren than most people are going to be. But yeah, this is my you can catch cool tier.
I think all three of those guys are going to wind up on my list here in a little bit. Let's just move on to mine.
Yeah.
The fate of Ophelia, also Kyle Pitts and Sam Laporta are here.
I don't like that.
I'm not doing the can you block, can't you block, are you a good blocker, are you a bad blocker, whatever.
I know you don't.
I'm stacking them. I don't care about the tiers and all that kind of stuff. But I did put Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts here at the back end of the top 10. I do think both of those are, your pass catcher types. I agree with you there. Travis Kelce, I still think is, a top 7 tight end in all of football. I still think he had an outstanding season for being the age he is. And he looks good early on. Early camp returns on Travis Kelce, I think he looks a little bit better than last year. So yeah. I'm pretty excited to see what he does. I think he continues to be one of the better tight ends in football. I think there is a group of players that, you can project out a little bit more for this season than him, and we'll get to those guys in a little bit. But Travis Kelce is making my list at number 7.
Okay. This is my Leonard Williams tier, but I also named it something slightly different this time. I said, you are a dog, AJ Barner. This is going to be, I'm the only person putting AJ Barner in their top 10, I think, but this is my Leonard Williams tier. I just changed the name because somebody has to block. And Kent's not going to have a single blocker in his group of tight ends, and that's fine. That's his prerogative. But I'm getting somebody, at least one person that can block in my room. I think AJ Barner is one of the better blocking tight ends in the NFL right now. And I also think when they decide to throw him the ball, when they make him run vertically or on some corner routes, he does a good job. Like, he's a good athlete stretching the field. So he's not flashy and the stats aren't going to be great, but I do think his impact as a run blocker and then being able to run the seams or get into like that kind of the turkey hole shot there on the sideline is very valuable. So love me some AJ Barner. He's a dog, aka Leonard Williams.
Yeah, you know what? I like it. Good little call out there. Good little call out giving the blockers some love. Tucker, what's my next one? I've got the 2025 Future Stars. And these are two other draft picks that did have the draft pedigree and both put together outstanding seasons from the tight end position. And it's rare that you see 4 tight ends really kind of turn some heads in a draft class like this. But the 2025 class kind of brought a renaissance to the tight end position. I think, I'm a little bit higher on Tyler Warren because, some of his ADOT stats may not be as appealing, but watching him after the catch, watching him, being out in space, he is a challenge. And he doesn't win maybe the flashiest way, but he's a massive human that is tough to bring down, that can run enough, that can, get out in space a little bit enough, reliable hands. Lots to like about him, but Colston Loveland, that young man was the best rookie tight end last season. And he flashed some unbelievable potential to be a game-changing type, math-changing type tight end in the future. I think he has the potential to climb in. I think he's got the ceiling to be one of the best, if not the best tight end in football at some point in his career. And I'm going with Colston Loveland there in that.
That's a good one. All right. My next tier, we're going a little bit faster these position rankings now. Just because, we got camp news to lead the shows off. My next tier is the I'm too old for this shit in the Roger Murtaugh voice. This is George Kittle at 6 and Travis Kelce at 5. They're going to keep telling you, we're going to keep telling you they're too old for it. But yet, you know what? They keep playing well. Maybe not as good as they had been in the past. Kittle's is a little bit more his physical age from just being injured all the time, more so than his like actual age. Like, it's just his body's beat up. But I guess he is a little bit older too, actually, now that I think about it.
He's 32.
Either way. Yeah, they're both a little older. They don't move as well as they did earlier in their careers, but when they are healthy, when they're out there, they're both still very good. They're very different players. Travis Kelce obviously has been a far more nuanced route runner, a much better receiver, whereas George Kittle has been a much better blocker. It's just kind of which do you value of those two things, but I think they both still go here. I put Travis Kelce ahead of George Kittle because George Kittle is returning from an injury, right? Like he's not able to play right now. If he was 100% healthy, I would probably have to put Kittle above Travis Kelce because I do think he's got a little bit more juice left. But they both still have it. They both still are right there around the top 5 tight ends in the NFL, despite not being anywhere close to their prime.
Yeah, just throw my next year up. IR stars. That's where George Kittle sits for me. I put George Kittle at the number 4 spot, and it is tough to kind of project him out a little bit, right? Because he has had so many injuries, but inline blocking and ability to catch, like he's the best blocker probably of this entire group that we've revealed, and probably will be the best. He's going to be the best blocker in the top 10 tight ends for me. I think he is a two-way player in that regard. And so I do think he still deserves the credit. He's still got enough juice. If he can put a full season together, he is going to be one of the, he's going to be right up there as the best tight end in football if he puts 17 together again. And then Tucker Kraft was on a tear before he got hurt. And he was he arrived with bad intentions in 2025 and became a matchup nightmare. And became an absolute problem and someone that you had to know where they were at all times. So Tucker Kraft before the injury deserved a lot of love and a lot of credit for what he was putting together that season as well. So he's sitting at number 3 for me. I think he's another young arrow pointing up tight end for me.
I think those are good ones. We can throw my next tier up here and then we'll get everything. There is some hope for the future. Tucker Kraft at 4 and Colston Loveland at 3.
Colston.
Yeah, I mean, Tucker Kraft, real quick, he's like Tyler Warren if Tyler Warren was better. I think that's the best way I can describe Tucker Kraft. He's Tyler Warren if Tyler Warren could block, but then also didn't just run over guys, but could actually make them miss. It's just that he's a more rugged version of Tyler Warren. He's coming off of an injury, but it was earlier in the year. I think he will be able to, he'll be able to rebound, and we'll see. But like Ken said, he was the best tight end as statistically production-wise efficiency up until his injury, and then he gets hurt, and so it comes down. He's definitely more of a yards after catch guy, but he was flashing some more stuff downfield, and I just think being at least a plus blocker matters for him. Oh, good.
I was gonna ask if I described Tucker Kraft as a more explosive Tyler Warren, how would you feel about that?
Sure, but also better.
I know. A more explosive Tyler Warren would be better.
He's a more explosive Tyler Warren that can also block, I think would be a solid way to go. Okay. And so then this gives me to Colston Loveland, who I knew I was going to be high on, but that's okay. I'm more than okay with this. I think Colston Loveland is a stud. I think last year he was second among all tight ends in the NFL, or tied for first with Zach Ertz for air yards per reception, or per target. So when he was targeted per route run, he was targeted. The ball's downfield. He's not running your little gimmicky routes. His air yards per target were higher than Tyler Warren's yards per route run, just in general, just all the time. The air yards, right? And so he's pushing the ball downfield. He was third in overall yards per route run behind only George Kittle and Zach Ertz last year. Would have been second if you reduce it to just the final 10 games when he really got going after a slow start because he was injured during camp and stuff last year for them. Colston Loveland he's the whole package. He can block. He's a good blocker. As a receiver, he can stretch the field. He can find open space. He's got a good size so he can work in through traffic, but he has that athleticism to shake guys one-on-one. I think of all tight ends in the NFL, if there is somebody that's going to really push to be in that elite tight end at the end of their career range, it's Loveland. Not either the two guys I have ranked ahead of him still. I think Loveland is the one guy that has the chance to push into the elite tight ends of all time kind of range, just because I think he's more of a complete player than the rest of these guys are.
All right, Tuck. Let's throw
just
my
has to
last
put it
one.
together.
Young stars. These are the two slam dunk in the tier of their own best tight ends in football, and they both are they're unbelievable. I got Trey McBride at 2 and I got Brock Bowers at 1. Trey McBride was unbelievable last season and statistically unbelievable last season. He's as a matchup nightmare. 126 catches, 1,239 yards, and 11 touchdowns last year for Trey McBride. He was the Arizona Cardinals. He's on the ascent. He's on the rise still. He's still just 26 years old, and he's in the prime of his career.
What's funny?
What?
You said young stars. Trey McBride's your third oldest player on your list. And not
That's
saying he's not
wild.
young, but he's the third oldest player on your list.
How is that even possible? He's a young star, though. He is. He's a
I'm
slam
not
dunk star.
disagreeing. I just thought it was funny.
That's what I do feel like the tight end is more of a resurgence and a changing of the guard than it is anything. You know, like that's he talked about like how like you're stacking this group and it's like they're not all household names. Like I don't know if I'd even consider Trey McBride a household name to this point, unless you play fantasy football. But that's it. But
Only
he's
the Cardinals are
unbelievable.
a household name.
Yeah, people forget the Arizona Cardinals. Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football when he's healthy. And him and Trey McBride, I think, are right there next to each other. But Bowers, I mean, he's another one of those young guys. 2024 just came on the scene immediately and was just unbelievable. And last season, had some injuries and also was on the worst team in football. Somehow worse than the Arizona Cardinals. Both of these young stars on horrendous football teams. But
yeah,
if I'm picking today, if you're saying give me one, I'll take Brock Bowers over Trey McBride.
yeah. We can throw my final tier up real quick, and then what does the world come to? We used to walk among gods at the tight end position because now we have Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. These guys just they listen. These two at the top of the line, they hold nothing to Travis Kelce, prime George Kittle, Shannon Sharps, Antonio Gates. Like we are so far away from the prime of those players with these two. So like that's where I just said like I feel like the tight end room's weak. Like we literally used to watch some of Gronk. I forgot Gronk. We used to watch some of
Tony
the
Gonzalez.
absolute best football players ever. Tony Gonzalez to ever play the position were like just
Gates.
constantly all around us. I did say him at least, and yet. Here we are, and now we're saying Brock Bowers and Trey McBride are our top tight ends, and neither one of them can play base personnel. Like they literally can't play base personnel, and that's what we're saying is the best. Even Travis Kelce, who was probably the least blocker of all, or even Antonio Gates actually, the least blocker of all these things, they were able to at least function in base personnel. The Raiders have to put somebody else out there for Brock Bowers. The Cardinals, they get by. Right, they can get by with Trey McBride. He gives you enough effort, but he's also 26 now. He's been in the NFL long enough to get like the grown man sized where he's just kind of enough to be in the way. And this is me. I'm not trying to be negative about him. They're the best two tight ends. They're so good at receiving the ball. I think Brock Bowers, if he can come back and be healthy, he has every chance to regain that top spot. He is a phenomenal wide receiver. It's just, I still don't even think as receivers, these two guys hold a candle to the primes of these other players that I'm talking about at tight end. And then they are significantly worse on rundown. So it's just, when I watched these tight ends, when I was looking through it, I felt sad just remembering what the tight end position used to be. And now it's being led by Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. And it's just, these guys aren't close to what I am used to seeing the pinnacle of that position be for my entire life.
Maddie, a standing bid on this show for the last, I don't know how many years, 8 years we've been doing this, 7 years we've been doing this, is that you're 29.
No, I turned 30.
I think you should retire that bit entirely because that was the most old man yells at clouds I think I've ever heard you be. Just talking about the good old days of all of these tight ends from the 90s.
Calm down on not knowing what
2000s.
emojis are, buddy.
I'm not saying I've never claimed to be young. I'm just not sure you're allowed to claim to be young.
I'm going to push back. I don't think this is an old man yells at clouds. Are you going to sit here and look me in the eye and tell me that Brock Bowers even could carry Travis Kelce's pads?
No.
Prime Travis Kelce's pads. What Shannon Sharps, Antonio Gates, Rob Gronkowski's.
When did Shannon Sharp play?
A long time ago.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I'm just asking you.
And you were live for those games, right?
No, but I watch them on YouTube. I'm just asking you if you could do it.
I think the point is great. I just think that you have to retire the youthful bit. I think it's over. I think
Absolutely
you just
not.
put a nail in the coffin because you're here citing players.
Position.
You're citing players that you watched in your life
as a child
and saying, "Oh, they don't make them like they used to."
Listen, Shannon Sharp,
right.
the Baltimore Raven legend, was phenomenal, right? And so I know Shannon Sharp from the Ravens.
Yeah,
very good play.
Raven Shannon Sharp. Yeah. No, the point's good. The point is good. And the game's changing a little bit, and they're bringing in all these other big boys to do the dirty work for them, right? They're going 13 personnel, and they're the Z in those formations. These guys are. They're the third in line, you know. and that is a definitive shift, I think, for sure.
Bring good tight ends back.
You just want them to block, Maddie. That's all. You just want them to
Yeah,
block.
I don't want them to be slow wide receivers. Yes, you were correct, Kent. I would like my tight ends to be tight ends, not slow wide receivers. I am curious. I was just gonna say, I'm curious. Both of us had a lot of more receiving slanted tight ends on our list than blockers, but yet the entire NFL is telling us that we're going to a more run heavy thing. Like, how does that look, right? Like, when we rank this next year or 2 years from now, are we going to have more blockers in there because it matters more? Or are we still on the outside always going to gravitate towards these guys that are just pass catchers? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are guys like Brenton Strange going to be more valuable to just NFL teams or to us? Right, like or to us as well on the outside. I'm curious where the trends of the tight ends go moving forward.
I don't think that we're going to see an appreciation for the blockers.
I got you, AJ Barner.
I don't think we're going to see growing increase in the appreciation. I don't think AJ Barner's contract
number 7 in my heart.
It's going to sniff what any of these guys' contracts are. For instance, like, and because at the tight end position still, even though we want the Chiefs to be more, personnel heavy, capable, and can block a little bit in line a little bit more and all these things, pass catchers still win. Pass catchers.
I mean, Brenton Strange got $12 million. So I don't know. I feel like AJ Barner might be able to push the Mark Andrews range here, right? Like, I mean, I feel like we might be able to get in the top 5 in terms of APY. If Brenton Strange is getting 12, I mean, that was what, 10-ish, 10th, roughly. Like, I don't know. I'm just looking at the players. Like, Dalton Schultz is still making over $12 million. He's like the 6th. Isaiah Likely, who's done nothing, just got paid 13. Now, is that because he's a receiver, or is it just that's what tight ends go for? Now, it's because he's a receiver. Charlie Kolar has like 6 career catches and got $8 million. They literally paid him just to block.
The blocking
that's
is
blocking
not
only. But that's blocking only. I'm talking about the guys that can block and catch. I just wonder if we don't see them be more valued the next year or two when we do this. That's all my question is.
I just don't think the blockers are going to have enough of a statistical in output that it's going to
watch the film.
I don't think AJ Barner is going to come out here and have 1,000 receiving yards. And if he does, yeah, he's one of the best tight ends in football. How about that? I'll give you that. Mark Andrews, nowhere to be found in our list, by the way.
Yeah, no chance.
I just thought that was what I knew neither of us was going to have him.
Darnell Washington was lurking on the outside of mine just because,
I wouldn't have hated that. I wouldn't have hated that one at all, actually. I'm kind of mad at myself for not just throwing Harold Fannin and Oronde Gadsden out the club and throwing Darnell Washington at 10, actually.
He could throw them both. He probably, 1, weighs as much as both of them combined. 2, he could definitely throw both of them out the club.
We should have put him as a top 10 offensive tackle, is what we should have done. We've already done those, I think, so it's over.
We did.
Oh, well. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, and supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
I don't think Noah Gray will be on here next year.